Before we proceed to our lesson, let's have a recap on our previous lesson. We learned the other style of music in the 20th century, and the category of electronic music in contrast to the categories of acoustic or traditional music, like classical, jazz, or folk. Now, let's go ahead and discuss about our lesson 4, History of African and Latin American Music. Latin music is the result of a complex social and historical process that took place in the Americas after the arrival of Columbus. Despite the traumatic experience, Latin music is one of the positive outcomes that came from that process. Music of Latin America is the product of three major influences: indigenous, Spanish, Portuguese, and African. Materials came from hollow tree trunks, animal skins, fruit shells, dry seeds, jaguar claws, animal and human bones, and especially treated inflated eyes of tigers. The indigenous music of Latin America was largely functional in nature, being used for religious worship and ceremonies. The following is a brief background of Latin music history, which is a mix of cultural and social environment that ended up producing one of the best music genres in the entire world. Indigenous influence. Generally speaking, Latin music history starts with the cultural encounter that occurred after the arrival of Columbus. However, it is important to remember that the indigenous people of the New World had their own music. For instance, the Maya culture gave great attention to music producing all kinds of percussion and wind instruments. Wind instruments were very popular among pre-Columbian cultures. All kinds of flutes were made all over the American continent, and fortunately, this original expression has persisted to date in traditional Latin music like South America's Andean music. Natives were found to be using local drum and percussion instruments such as the güiro, maracas, and turtle shells, and wind instruments such as zampona, panpipes, and quena, notched end flutes. Spanish-Portuguese influence. Language was the first contribution that the Spanish and Portuguese powers brought to the New World. Latin music is, in fact, defined to a large extent by the Spanish and Portuguese languages. While Portuguese came to define the music from Brazil, Spanish language defined the rest of Latin America. The second contribution that Europeans brought to the new land was their music. In fact, when the Spanish conquerors arrived at the American continent, their homeland had rich musical expressions that included traditions from both the European and the Arab worlds. Along with their music, Europeans also brought their instruments. Melodies of the Renaissance period were used in southern Chile and the Colombian Pacific coasts. Stepwise melodies were preferred in the heavily Hispanic and Moorish-influenced areas of Venezuela and Colombia. Originally, these instruments were intended to recreate the music that was played in Europe. However, they soon became the ideal tools to express the feelings of the new inhabitants that were defining the roots of Latin America. Now, let's talk about African influence. African influence on Latin American music is most pronounced in its rich and varied rhythmic patterns produced by the drums and various percussion instruments. That influence, of course, does not touch all the rhythms and styles that belong to Latin music. However, if we just take a look at the music that has come from Brazil and the Caribbean, then we know how significant this influence is. Samba, salsa, merengue, bachata, timba, and much more, are just some of the rhythms that have been shaped by African beats. The full picture about this influence includes also African American music. In particular, the development of jazz had a tremendous impact in the making of Latin music rhythms such as mambo, bossa nova, and Latin jazz. More recently, African American styles like R&B and hip-hop have defined the development of Latin music genres such as reggaeton and urban music. Afro-Latin American music. Vocal and dance forms of Afro-Latin American music. 1. Cumbia. It is a type of dance and music similar to salsa and uses instruments like accordions, guitars, and percussions. 2. Tango. This is a lively and spirited dance of two people. It is a passionate kind of dance that shows expression and connection, and is performed in a traditional or modern style. 3. Cha-cha. This is a Latin American ballroom dance with the basic pattern of 3 steps with a shuffle. It has a fast rhythmic pattern. 4. Bossa nova. This a style of music that was derived from samba, which is an original Brazilian music. It gives more emphasis on percussion and melody. 5. Paso Doble. It is Spain's traditional couple dance. It uses music that is traditionally played in bullfighting. 6. Reggae. This is a Jamaican form of music and dance with strong, accented, and supplementary beats. In the 1960s, it was known as the ska and is a variation of rhythm and blues. The popular artist of this genre was Bob Marley. 7. Rumba. This is a kind of song and a dance that originated from Cuba with a percussive rhythm and a combination of Cuba's musical and dance traditions. 8. Foxtrot. It is a ballroom dance of 2 quick slow steps and 2 quick steps and is executed alternately in 4/4 time signature. Now, we learned the forms of Afro-Latin American music. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Afro-Latin American musical instruments. 1. Bombo. It is a dual-headed drum made from a deep tree trunk with patches made up of calf or goat skin. It is played using 2 sticks. 2. Chachas. It is a rattle made up of dried hooves from sheep, llama, or goat and is worn with a wrist cloth bracelet. 3. Zamponias. It is a panpipe type of reed made up of bamboo that are tied together. 4. Charango. This is an instrument made from the shell of an armadillo. This is a 10-string guitar instrument. 5. Quena. It is a flute made of bones or bamboo that has a vertical notched reed. 6. Cajon. It is a rectangular box made of wood. It is played and used as a drum. It is used by tapping its front part while the musician sits on it. 7. Maracas. These are instruments made of gourd-like coconut shells with beans, seeds, or small pebbles placed inside. They are played by shaking. 8. Claves. These are a pair of hardwood sticks played by striking them together. Now, let's proceed to our lesson 5, Background of Popular Music. Pop music is a term that originally derives from an abbreviation of popular. The genre popular music originated in its modern form in the 1950s, originating from rock and roll. The term pop song is first recorded as being used in 1926. According to Grove Music Online, the term pop music originated in Britain in the mid-1950s as a description for rock and roll and the new youth music styles that it influenced. Since the late 1950s, however, pop has had the special meaning of non-classical music. Some of the most well-known names in history such as the Beatles, Michael Jackson, the Rolling Stones, ABBA, etc. Early British popular music, in the genre of commercial music enjoyed by the people, can be seen to originate in the 16th and 17th centuries. Further technological, economic and social changes led to new forms of music in the 19th century, including the brass band, which produced a popular and common form of classical music. Similarly, the music hall sprang up to cater for the entertainment of new urban societies, adapting existing forms of music to produce popular songs and acts. In the 1930s, the influence of American jazz led to the creation of British dance bands, who provided a social and popular music that began to dominate social occasions and the radio airwaves. Parlor music was popular music performed in the parlors of middle-class homes by amateur singers and pianists. Broadside ballads were arguably the first form of commercial popular music in Britain. Now, be ready and are ready to discuss the whole topic. Thank you.